So, welcome again, everybody. So wonderful to have over 100 of you here live. We get to be in this practice together from all over the globe. And I think there's something very special about the fact that we're all here in this moment together. And also a hugely warm welcome to those who are here joining us on the replay. Absolutely delicious to have you showing up for yourself in commitment to setting an hour or so aside to do this. So I will be mostly at my screen, and if you see me darting my eyes around, I'm just letting people in the weight room and checking the chat. So we are here today to explore a somatic healing class. I call them release classes, and we run them once a month here in our gorgeous Journey to Wellness membership. And it's such a privilege to have you all here, and it's so special to be able to open this one up so that people can have a taster of this work. So, if you don't already, what we need for today is pen and paper. We'll be doing some sort of art therapy inspired and also some IFS, which is parts work inspired exercises. So, pen and paper. And then just a space where you can spread out somewhere on the floor. You're in my lounge with me now. Lovely to have you here. And I've just got a mat behind me set out, and you really don't need to have a mat. You could absolutely do the somatic portion of this class where we're getting into some yin poses on your bed if you like. And it can be also really nice just to have some props. So I've got a bolster. You don't have to have a bolster. You could just have a pillow from your couch. You could have yoga blocks or even just a couple of books. And they're just things to support you to really sink into that yin style practice without having to feel like you're muscularly kind of holding yourself up. It's really an invitation to soften and to let go. So those are some things for you to get. I've also got a drink bottle. You might have a cup of tea. So feel free if you need to duck away now and just get those things sorted. And I'll just introduce the class a little here, a little about the theme, and speak a little bit to kind of the cognitive portion, which we often do, and just touch on the types of nervous system states that we're working with in today's class. I named the class or themed it Surrendering the Timeline. And really, what we're sinking into here is this notion of releasing the pressure and the rushing and the pushing and the striving and the doing and the constant comparison that we can get into and get so caught in our lives and also in our healing journeys. So we're here to soften that expectation that we carry to be anywhere other than where you are right now and to arrive anywhere faster than you are already. So we're letting go of that kind of cognitive pressure that the mind places on a timeline of your healing and hopefully embodying a state of permission to unfold and trust the process. So when we push ourselves, when we are constantly judging and comparing and rushing and always doing, we are operating often from threat states. And we're operating from our sympathetic nervous system when we're in that place. And you'll notice this often in the sensations you experience in your body, but also in your thoughts and in your beliefs. So if you find yourself saying things often like, I have to, I have to get to this certain place, I have to do this practice, I need to, I must, I should, all of that is the language of the sympathetic nervous system. Then what often happens when we are pushing, and striving in this way, our nervous system eventually fatigues and we start to experience something called functional freeze, where we flit in and out of that stress and pressure and in just being totally collapsed and unmotivated and feeling really stuck. And sometimes this leads us all the way into burnout or being stuck in a freeze state. And then our thoughts and our beliefs change and they sound like, I can't. And it feels like hopelessness and helplessness. And I wanted to share in my one-on-one work with clients, one of the biggest blocks that often comes up to people's healing has got nothing to do with their wounding or how much stress or trauma they have been through, but it's actually how they view themselves because of all of that. It's a view of, I'm broken in some way. Something in me is this this hole, this unhealable piece of me. And they carry this belief that these things work for other people, but not for them. And they're kind of always resisting and running from their shadows. And they believe that they're just not a whole person, that something's missing or something's wrong with them in some way. If you're resonating with this, I want you to place a hand on your heart, maybe even place a heart emoji in the chat, because you're not alone. And one of the healing elements of our community space that I really notice in the hub is a deep sense of not being alone anymore, of being able to share those fears and ask the big questions and be validated and held and lovingly challenged to shift that narrative. So the parts of us that don't believe we can heal, this is so important to take this on. There's a part of you that doesn't believe in healing for you, or that believe you're broken or faulty or needing constant fixing, constant pushing and development. Those are the very parts that become our biggest roadblocks and stop the healing. But they're actually trying to be protective. But when we push and judge ourselves, we activate our protective parts. So we activate perfectionism, the pushing part, striving part, judging, inner critic, comparison, all of those things. Now, polyvagal theory tells us that when we are predominantly living in our ventral vagal state, which is rest, digest, restore, and calm, that is the place where we have access to compassion and to presence and to healing. So it's the place where the body actually actively repairs itself and inflammation reduces. And we drop out of those parts that don't believe in this or that think something's wrong with us running the show. So we have access to what we call in parts work the self, this rooted and aligned part of us that really that kind of drops their operation from parts and comes from compassion and being present and being curious. But there are things that we can do to move ourselves towards that state while simultaneously softening and healing the parts of us that get stuck in the hustle and in the self-judgment. So we're going to tap into how do we work with some of those parts today, and how do we soften the nervous system to give us more access to healing. Healing that's not along that intellectualized cognitive timeline. Now, this is a little note from me around Journey to Wellness membership. I haven't announced this anywhere yet. I will be in a week or so, but I'm about to offer up a big bonus offer on the membership again. I'm offering 50% off all of the plans. Sorry, $50 off all the first payment plans, $70 goodie bag, and a VIP workshop day with me with personalized success path. So it's about $420 in bonuses, and it's only going to the VIP list and only for 24 hours. So as I say, I haven't announced this yet. There's a very kind of limited amount of spaces on that. So if you want to be first in line, I'm chucking a link in. I'll email it out afterwards as well. So that link, there we go. Hopefully that's come through, is how to get on the VIP waitlist to get those bonuses and to join in on the membership when it opens. It's a very quick window when it opens this year. So that aside, I just want a quick disclaimer or a reminder before we move into the work of today's release class. If you haven't been to one before, this is especially for you, that I encourage you just to work today within your window of tolerance. So if you're not sure what that is, it just means we're kind of working either within or to the edge before we feel dysregulated. So nothing needs to tip you up here. If you're starting to feel anxious or spacey or dissociated or any of that, we don't actually do our best healing when we're outside of our window of tolerance, what we have capacity to hold. And so if you feel that, then pause, hop out of the practice, take a drink of water, go put your feet outside on the ground, do some breaths, whatever you need to do just to come back to center. You can just mute me. You can come back to it later. It's absolutely fine. Right, let's get moving. We are going to work today, as I said, through a parts work exercise. We're going to work through some vagal drills. We're going to work through a healing seasons art practice and some yin and meditation. In the chat, you'll now see a Spotify playlist. This is my little curated playlist that we run in release classes. And you can click on that link and hit play. And then you can adjust the volume of that inside your browser so that you can hear my voice just fine, but you've also got the music in the background. And it's quite lovely just to have that accompanying your practice. All right, to start with, we are going to get our pen and paper at the ready as we start to sink into a parts practice. So if anyone's totally unfamiliar with what that means, internal family systems or parts work is kind of this notion that we're not this one mono mind person where all of our unwanted traits and everything is just our personality. It's just who we are. The idea is that we are made up of lots of parts. Some of our parts are wounded and they're carrying pain. And some of our parts become protective. And those are the parts of us that have come to be because something was happening in our lives at a time and they felt they needed to take over and help us. And you might be familiar with those parts as your people pleasing part or your perfectionist part, or the part of you that feels deep imposter syndrome, or the part of you in relation to this class that doesn't feel whole, that feels like it's always rushing or pushing or trying to fix something. So these parts of us are not to be gotten rid of or shunned or resisted, but rather when we understand them, when we come to have a relationship with them, we actually come with compassion and we find out why they came to be in the first place. We find out what it is they're trying to protect, what it is they think they're doing to help us. And it's always there for protection. And when they feel heard, we can start to heal them and unburden them from those roles. So, of course, we may not achieve all of that in today's session, but what we will achieve is getting to speak with this part of you that feels the pressure and rushing and always doing. That's what we're going to connect to. So take your piece of paper, and if you're able, you can fold it in half so you've got a line down the center. So we're going to sort of talk to our part on one side and talk back to it on the other. So just grab your pen at the ready and place the paper down in front of you. Now, this might feel a bit bizarre if you've never done this before, so I just encourage you to be curious and have a little bit of fun and drop any expectation of what you think should happen and just see what happens. We're going to begin by just grounding into our space and into our bodies. So coming to a comfortable seat. If it feels okay for you, you may like to close down the eyes, or perhaps you're simply softening your gaze. Just begin to connect with your breath. Just noticing your breath in your body. No need to change anything or judge it in any way. You maybe take a scan through your body and notice any areas that are calling for your attention, sensations that are present. Often our mind seeks out straight away areas of tension or discomfort, always scanning for threat. And I invite you to breathe into those areas And then to scan for an area of okayness in your body. It might be your pinky finger, the soles of your feet. Noticing your sit bones grounded into the surface beneath you. And we're going to welcome now the part of you that feels pressure or rushing to heal or to always be doing more, being more. The part that fixates on timelines or progress. So I invite you to think about that part, to bring this part of you to mind. Get a real sense for it. You may be able to think about it in general, or you might even be able to think about a specific time where you felt that pressure and that rushing and that doing. Really create a lot of space for this part of you. And in connection with this part of you now, can you notice where this shows up? Can you notice it in your thoughts or your beliefs or the emotions that are present right here? Where is this part of you in or around your body? Taking note of your physical felt sensations. And can you describe those? Maybe there's a gripping, a pulsing, or a tightness. Is there a numbness or a hollowness? How big is it? Where does it start and where does it end in your body? I'm going to speak to this part of you now. And so, in this, I just encourage you to gently set aside your cognitive, intellectualizing mind. And when you ask these questions of it, just see what comes up. It doesn't have to make any sense. Just allow space for whatever answer this part brings. Ask this part of you, what do you want me to know about you? On the left side of your paper, you'll jot down answers that you notice coming up. They can be symbols, bullet points, just words. You don't need to make sense of it. Just jot those down on the left side of the paper. What does this part want you to know? When you've captured the essence of that, you can close down your eyes again. You might even be writing with your eyes closed. We'll ask another question. We're asking the part, what are you afraid would happen if you didn't do this thing that you do? This rushing and pushing and striving and doing and comparing. What are you afraid would happen if you didn't do this thing that you do? Really allow some space for this part to speak and jot down anything on the left side of the paper. We're going to ask this part another question in a moment here. And again, this might seem like an odd one, and the answer also might not make a lot of sense. So, to really let this part speak, you can, if you like, transfer the pen into your non-dominant hand. Keep your eyes shut and keep the nib of the pen to the left side of your page. We're going to let the part write the answer for us with our eyes closed in connection to this part of us. We ask the part, how old are you? Let it write down its age. This may not make much sense. You may have discovered that it is quite young, and it lets us know that this part of you that feels it needs to always be doing more, fixing, is quite young. It came to be in your earlier years. And this is often the way when many of us were faced with people pleasing, fawning, perfectionism, trying to be easy, the easy child, or trying to be seen. And if you did discover the age is quite young, maybe you place a hand to your heart here and imagine yourself even wrapping your arms around this little version of you, might not be that young, whatever it is, wrapping your arms around this part of you. We'll ask it one last question. Is there anything else it wants to share before we finish this practice? Anything else it needs you to know in this moment? You can jot down anything it says if you want, or you can simply listen. And whatever it is that's come up in this practice, because remember, there's truly no right or wrong. I just invite you to thank this part of you now for sharing and for being here and for doing the job that it's done, trying to protect you. Perhaps even letting it know that there's an invitation for it today, just to witness and to be a little part of the softening. If you feel okay, you can open your eyes now. Take a drink of water if you need to. And we're going to move ourselves into what I've called a havening gaze vagal reset, where what we'll do is connect to now that ventral vagal part of our nervous system. So we're really just going to do a gentle practice just to bring in some regulation and just to get some access to a little bit more grounding so we can soothe this part of us that has showed up as well. So to do this, first we're just going to assess our range, and this is just useful if you want to test for yourself whether or not this is a positive drill for you, which just means your nervous system is responding by moving toward regulation more. So to test the drill, we just test our range beforehand. So sitting squarely, spine is straight. We're just going to take our gaze over to the left and just look as far left as you can and simply notice a spot on the wall that your eyes land on is just a marker of the range of motion you have on this side. And then same thing, we'll come back to center and we'll just test the other side over to the right. I find that my ranges are a lot less on this side at the moment. You may notice a difference between your sides in terms of range of motion and then coming back through center. So what we'll do now is we're going to take our little vagal drill combined with some havening. So we're going to keep our head looking straight ahead, and we're just simply going to take our eyes now over as far left as we can without creating strain or discomfort. If this does make you feel dizzy or strained, just leave your eyes center. And then with our hands, we're going to start havening. So this is as simple as I like to cross them over initially and just stroke down my arms, my chest, maybe over the belly. Just allowing your belly to soften here, your shoulders to soften. You can even stroke down your face or sides of your neck. You may notice little signs of parasympathetic activation. Things like a sigh, more saliva, a deep spontaneous swallow. On your next exhale, let's let that be an audible sigh or an sound. Mm. And bringing the eyes back through center. Take a moment here. A big breath, a sigh out. And then taking your gaze over to the right. And you can begin to start havening again if that was feeling really good for you. Just even noticing the pace, inviting that to slow, softening any gripping. Audible exhale. Mm. Lovely. Come back through center as you're ready. Close your eyes if it feels okay, and just take some thymus taps, tapping the tips of your fingers to the center of your chest. Long exhale. So nice to know you're doing this right now with 124 other people, all co-regulating. Mm. Well done, everybody. As you're ready, we'll just retest that range. So just back through center where you were before, straight spine, and taking your gaze over to the left, and just noticing whether or not there's any more range, whether your eyes are able to go further left, try it to the right as well. Just notice if it feels a little easier, a little smoother, a little softer. We've just been activating our cranial nerves and the vagus nerve through eye movements, proprioception, through vocal vagal resets. If you noticed a change, if you notice more range, pop a yes into the chat. Let me know. Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Lots of yeses. Yes on one side. If you have any dizziness, that can be through overactivating our vagal nerve. So we want to, and potentially through the eyes as well for some of us with our vestibular system. So again, as I said in the beginning, any dizziness, we just take the eyes out of it. We can do other vagal drills. So many yeses. It's wonderful to see. This is so cool to have this biofeedback from our body being like, yeah, that's just done something amazing for my nervous system. I love it. So well done to you. And now that we're a little bit more perhaps in our ventral vagal state, maybe just a little bit more access to that self, the essential self, that wise, resourced, self. We're going to speak now to that beautiful part that we just conversed with lovingly. So I encourage you now on the right side of your page just to write a little note back to that part of you. So you may just write something back that soothes or addresses any fears it noted. Maybe letting it know how you'd like to align yourself going forward and offering it some advice from your wise mind. Might be as simple as writing down being slow, going at our own pace. It's not broken, it's sacred. Maybe you're reminding it we don't heal on a clock or on a linear timeline, but we heal in layers. Maybe you're just writing, thank you. I see you. I'm here for you. Beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to do, actually, do you know what we might do? No, we've got time for this. It's okay. We're just going to do a little practice again to embody in a movement way, in a somatic movement way, the rushing and the urgency versus the part that trusts in the timeline. So we're going to bring both hands out in front of us. And I invite you to let your right hand become the part of you that is rushing and racing and desperate to be further ahead. And notice the posture of that hand. Start to allow that hand to embody the movement of what that feels like. If you are feeling like I don't get it, you can just sit there for a moment and just let your hand have a think about what it might be to be doing the rushing and the pushing. When I did this the first time, I noticed it was doing a lot of pushing and kind of clicking and moving, and we're going. You might notice, is it clenching? Is it pushing? Is it pulling? Is it reaching? Is it shaking? Is it rigid? Just tuning into that movement. Notice as well what's happening in your body and your nervous system as you're doing this. Let's pause that hand. We're inviting our left hand to express itself now. The one who knows that healing has its own seasons and that trusts your pace. So let this hand express itself. Maybe it's soft, open, swaying. Just notice. Allow the part of you that trusts the process to embody your hand and its movement. Notice what's happening in your body and your nervous system here. Mm. And now we can bring both hands up and allow the two hands to meet. Let them negotiate. See what they want to do. Maybe one wants to hold the other. And this is just giving us a visual, embodied experience of that internal conflict and also of co-regulation between our parts, between urgency and surrender. You have these two parts of you, and you have the ability to honor them both and to soothe. Right, now we're going to move into one more little pen and paper practice, little kind of art therapy piece. Before we do that, I just want to give anyone a chance who's here in the live, if they'd like to just share any experience they've had so far. So it might be what you've noticed during either of these parts exercises. You might be wanting to share how old that part was and if that was interesting to you, I'm allowing unmute. So if anyone would like to ask a question or simply share something, just open the floor now. Sarah shares, I yawned a lot and felt relaxed. So that's lovely. That kind of indication of parasympathetic and of release. But you were older. The part was older. I'm not sure why. Catherine, my right hand was making a grasping motion. Mary Beth, tears for the first time for my 7-year-old self. Beautiful. Katrina, the age came to me immediately. 5. It surprised me. I had more than one age with my part, all young, from Amanda. Zelda shares it's profound how we can switch between the two extreme physical parts. Corey fell asleep. Brilliant on an ultimate relaxation. And goosebumps when I changed to the second hand, which wanted to stay where it was, but feel and sense the movement. Mine was 7 years old at first, a first grader. I am a child, tears running down my face, says Janine. Noticing how soft and gentle it feels within, quite teary, but lovely for my 3-year-old. Marissa felt release between my shoulder blades when the parts met in my hands. My part gave me 2 ages, 7 and 12. The age being 40 years younger was surprising, shares Jane. Diana shares my younger self, 8 years old. When I started doing the left hand movement, it started to kind of caress the air as if I was caressing my younger self. And then I started crying. Oh, my part is fearful and worried about the future and would like to be seen and heard. Yeah. I didn't want my right hand to touch my left. I wanted to keep my left hand safe. It's okay, you can honor that. Lucy also fell asleep. Beautiful. Andrea shares my right hand was frantic, left hand still. They harmonized, meeting in the middle. Very surprising. When my left hand was free to move, I was safe and feel hungry. Yes, hunger is another beautiful sign of ventral vagal. Leanne shares I was 8 years old. So much space for care and love for my younger self. She can be here and be cared for. Beautiful. Left hand invited right hand to rest calmly, peacefully in the left hand. Very comforting and soothing. Oh, it's beautiful. Alyssa shares my age was 6. Right hand was gripping, tense, not wanting to let go. Left hand was gentle and floaty. Erica discovered her 17-year-old doesn't trust anyone. It's really good information. And my left hand wanted to be nestled in my right hand. Absolutely stunning. Does anyone else want to share anything? I do have your ability to speak if anyone wanted to do that as well. Kim shares my left hand. Gently relax the grip on my right hand and the left. Massage the right. Lovely. Oh, Corey, you have raised your hand. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, I just noticed that with my right hand, it became tired and tense very quickly. And then when I was moving my left hand, I felt like my heart relax,
Mm.
the rest of my body just slow down and feel more calm. And then when I put them together, it was like the left hand was just supporting, they were both supporting each other, but they both slowed down and then they moved at a quick space every now and then back to a nice slow space. So it was like they were supporting each other.
It is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm always just blown away by when we do this, when we connect to our parts, when we connect to our bodies. There is so much information that they have to share. So much information. Wow, so many amazing shares in the chat about even a difference in temperature of hands. My left hand wanting to soothe my right, 9 years old, and then 3. As everyone shared, I found myself rocking. So this is a beautiful example of intuitive impulse to self-soothe. We really encourage this. My right hand was kind of punching, my left sat open gesture on my knee, like in yoga. My hands met and held at my heart. Absolutely beautiful, everybody. Ah, okay. I will allow some, not allow, I will open some more space for sharing. Um, Soon again. I think for now we'll move into this little art exercise. And then we can allow any space after that if people kind of sitting on something that they want to share. I'm seeing so many yawns and things on some of the videos. So hopefully I'm not putting you all to sleep too much with this ventral vagal. And if it is, maybe stand up and give yourself a wee shake. So now what we're going to do is create a little seasonal healing wheel. So if you're here, chances are you have judged your healing in some way recently, maybe, or always. And you've kind of perhaps wondered why you're not doing more. You've felt behind, frustrated, exhausted, maybe even ashamed. There's a comparison piece. You don't think you are where you should be by now, all of that stuff. But just like in nature, our nervous system and our healing actually moves in cycles. So where there is activation, that should naturally then follow deactivation, turning in and resting. So we may have had a lifetime of stress or trauma or activation or a lot of things happening. There should be a natural kind of deactivation process, but that's not often what we allow ourselves to do. Often we find we're stressed, we're triggered, all these things are happening in our lives, but we just keep pushing. And sometimes we have to. There are times where we have to because we're a mama or a business owner or we're whatever and we have responsibilities, we've got deadlines. But if we're not allowing ourselves the space for decompression, we're not allowing the natural healing seasons and cycles. So what we'll do now is we're going to reframe some of these seasons, and I invite you to draw a circle on the paper in front of you, and then to divide your circle into 4 quadrants. No right or wrong where you do your divisions, just for anyone whose perfectionist part is starting to get activated by having to draw a circle. Mine was. My circle was very wonky. I left it. And then in each quadrant, we're going to write the seasons. So one will be winter. I think this is back to front on the video potentially, but you get the idea. One is summer, one is spring, one is autumn. I think potentially in the US you call it fall, maybe not autumn. So you can write your seasons on there. And I'm just going to speak to the seasons a little bit here and help with a reframe. And then we're going to just drop into a quick kind of inward reflection for you to write something in the quadrants. So in winter, when we're in our winter season of healing, quite often it is that we might actually feel really stuck. So what you'll notice if you're in winter is you feel unmotivated and you feel stuck. You feel like nothing's happening and you feel very inward. But what if this is actually rest and pause and integration? In spring, you might feel like you're just starting again, kind of doing all this new stuff and there's change and it's growth, but you feel kind of wobbly and unsure, and you might make a bit of progress and then freak out about that or feel embarrassed for not having it all figured out. But what if spring is sprouting? And that small and fragile shifts are huge signs of growth. It's a season of experimenting and trying and reaching, and it's okay to be tender. New roots always feel shaky before they get a hold. In summer, in our summer season of healing, it's often that we feel quite exposed. So you might feel like things are kind of going okay, but you don't trust it. Or you're showing up and you're really scared people are going to see you. You know, you've been doing the work, but it's terrifying to show up in these new boundaries with these new ways of being. And it can feel good, but then it's like, is it too good? Can the rug be pulled out at any moment? But what if This is a season of growth and expansion and blooming, and it's about visibility. It's about being witness. It's really natural for fear to arise in that season. It's not regression when that comes up, it's a sign of rising. It's the burning down of the old and the stepping boldly into the new. And then in your autumn season, you often feel very tired and emotional and nostalgic. And why am I crying about old stuff again? Everything feels like a mess, but I just kind of don't want to let go of stuff, my old patterns. I know I need to. It feels a bit like grief. And that's what we frame it as to ourselves. But what if the reframe was that we are harvesting and shedding and slowing? It's the season of releasing what no longer serves, what no longer fits, clearing space emotionally, physically, spiritually for what's next. And letting yourself mourn the old versions of you is kind of part of the magic. So we never judge the seasons, right? In our actual lives, we don't judge these seasons. We often celebrate them and herald them in and kind of trust that they're serving a greater purpose. So I wonder if for you, is there a season that you're feeling aligned with right now? There might be more than one. If there is, you're welcome to share it. And I'm going to invite you just into a really, really brief turning inward meditation, asking a question, and you can answer it for every season. And you're going to jot your answer down into your grids. Let's place a hand on our heart, closing down the eyes if it feels okay. And first connecting with autumn and asking the question of, what am I holding on to out of fear, maybe, that I'm ready to let go of? You can jot your answers down in your autumn section. As you feel ready, hand on heart, asking our winter season, where in my life am I being asked to slow down? Breathe into that question, then jot your answers down in the winter section. Where in my life am I being asked to slow down? And then we ask a question for spring. What tiny desire is beginning to emerge? What tiny desire is beginning to emerge? Someone's just asked, what was the autumn question? It is, what am I holding on to out of fear that I'm ready to let go of? Okay. And last question for summer. Which parts of me feel vibrant, powerful, or ready to expand? Well done, everybody. You now have a beautiful insight into some of the healing seasons, some of the needs. And I have also got for you let me have a look here. This, you should be able to see on your screen on the way out to you after this. This is little seasonal healing map. So it speaks to what we might be noticing, what we can reframe our healing seasons as. And then I've given you somatic based practices for each season to help you celebrate them, nurture them, and move through them. And some reflection prompts. So that will be coming to you in an email after this. And Kelly just asks, do these literally translate to the seasons of the year? Or do you mean we cycle through these multiple times throughout the year? So yeah, we definitely cycle through them multiple times throughout the year. I think sometimes, obviously, when we're in literal winter, we feel called inward in an emotional way, but it's referring to just the cycles that we go through. And you can definitely have different parts of you in different seasons at a time. So we're actually going to move now into a little yin practice. And it's a small one. There's only going to be 3 different poses. So I am aware that it's nearly at the hour. This is going to be a 75-minute class today as opposed to 60. If you can't stay, that's absolutely fine. You can stay for what you can of the yin and do it on the replay. Otherwise, I'd love for you to join me for a yin sequence now. Yin is an invitation for us to drop out of kind of the muscular effort and the holding and the bracing and to prop ourselves up and to work with the connective tissue. So we're going to actually drop deep into the layer of the fascia here. And this is really a place where so much stress and activation and emotion can be held. And so we're offering a space to settle and to open. So this is where you will need, no worries if those are having to pop out. I'll see you soon. This is where a bolster could be a really good thing, or some pillows from your bed, some yoga blocks, grab yourself a space, grab a blanket if that feels like it would be nice to wrap yourself up. I'm going to demonstrate the pose and then I'm going to pop back up to the camera here. So just ignore me, what I'm doing. Once you're in the pose, you can close your eyes and sink in, and I'll cue you as to when to come out. So our nervous system rewiring here is happening through surrender-based poses that we're really going to be working into the hips and the psoas, and they're real key emotional storage zones. So we're going to come first into a deer pose. So to set ourselves up for this, I invite you just to take a seat and then to bring, let's say we'll do our left leg out in front and our right leg is going to bend and tuck behind. So the left leg is kind of taking these diagonal angles, and perhaps your left shin, if you had a mat, would be kind of running parallel to the edge, the long edge of your mat. And your right leg is just behind you, whatever angle feels comfortable for you. And then grab whatever pillows, supports, or bolsters you have and place that alongside your left hip. So I'm just tucking that against my left hip there. Then we're going to turn our upper half of our body to face toward the bolster and just readjust your bolster or your pillows as needed to support you. Your props are here to work for you. And then we're going to place our hands down and walk ourselves down so that we can lie down along our pillow or our bolster. And your right hip and bum will come right off the floor. So don't feel like you're supposed to be still squared here. Just allow that to come up with you. And place your head down either side. It could be resting on the left side or twisted around over, looking to your left. Just allow yourself to begin to melt into this pose. As we melt into our deer pose, we're working with the liver and the gallbladder meridians. We're softening the places inside us that cling to plans and timelines. We're inviting flow back into our bodies. In these practices, we're never forcing. We're coming to maybe 50 or 60% of our range, to maybe feeling a first edge, and just allowing our bodies to soften, the muscles to let go. And feel the weight of your body supported by the earth. There's nowhere you need to be except right here. Let yourself imagine roots growing from your body, from your hips, your legs, your hands, your heart space, weaving downward, threading gently into the soil. And these roots don't rush. They don't compare themselves to other trees or flowers. Take another couple of deep breaths here, preparing ourselves to move. We gently press our hands into the earth, pushing ourselves up to a seat. As we prepare to set up on the other side, might feel nice to lean back into your hands, just windscreen wiper your legs side to side. And sitting up on the other side, right leg is bent in front of you, left leg bent and tucked behind. Bolster or a pillow comes to meet your right hip. We turn our bodies and lower ourselves down, snuggling into that support. That left hip will come right off the floor or the mat. Allow yourself to sink in once more. As you settle here, feel your whole system softening its grip on getting somewhere. Healing isn't a finish line. Healing is this, right here. The meeting of your breath with your body. Maybe you can notice a sensation of your belly expanding into the support beneath you. These beautiful, full, functional breaths. any parts of you that are looking to rush or move or hurry. Simply notice them, meet them with compassion and kindness. Invite them to soften. As we prepare to move once more, take a deep inhale. Exhale, pushing into your hands, bringing yourself back to a seat. Perhaps you want to windshield wiper your legs when you arrive once more. We set ourselves up for our second pose. An option for you here to choose whether you take a reclined butterfly or a forward fold. So we'll come to bring the soles of our feet together. You can have a play with how close your heels are into your pelvis, whether they are tight in or whether you give yourself lots of space and create a big diamond. And then here you can choose whether you want to recline lying back on the floor or on a support like a bolster. You may like to put blocks or pillows to support your knees, placing them under your knees, or you can choose if you would like to fold forward. So go ahead and pick what feels nurturing and nourishing to you now. Maybe your body is calling for some expansion and you want to come back. Maybe it's calling for some turning inward. Wherever you are, there's no forcing, striving. And as you settle into your butterfly pose, we're working with the kidney and bladder meridians. We're surrendering the tightness of fear and trusting that our growth will find its way in its own time. Nothing's hurried here. Growth often happens invisibly. A little bit like Chinese bamboo tree that plant as a seed and you water it and you care for it. And year after year, nothing happens. Doesn't break through until year 5. And after 5 years, it breaks through the ground and grows 90 feet tall in 5 weeks. And whilst we may not all shoot through in that way, it reminds us that we mustn't ignore or underestimate what could be happening under the surface. Trust that the parts of you that are still underground are not failing. Maybe they're gathering strength. Let's take 3 more deep breaths together in your own time. Maybe the sigh is audible. And as you're ready, pushing yourself up to a seat if you were folded forward. Or if you were lying back, you can simply move your bolster to the side and stretch your legs out long as we come into our final pose together. Going to be doing a reclined psoas release. And so to do this, we can just take some kind of a prop, pillow, bolster, and slide it underneath the sacrum here. That bony ridge, the base of your spine and tailbone, and then extending the legs out long. Very gentle opening through the front of the pelvis. You might like to place your hands over your belly, one hand on heart, one hand on solar plexus, or perhaps your hands are to your sides with palms facing the ceiling. Lift your head, gently tuck your chin and place your head back down again, creating length through the spine. And come back to your breath here. Feel your whole front body. Your heart space open, your belly and your hips softening. And this is the place where urgency used to live, the psoas, the messenger of threat and speed. And now we send a love note to teach it something new. It's safe to slow down. It's safe to let go. It's safe to be. Imagine every cell of your body is surrendering the timeline written by fear and force. And you're allowing your body to write a new one, a timeline written by trust. A final closing meditation and visualization. You are more than welcome to stay exactly where you are. You are welcome to, at any point, slide the support out and come into a Shavasana, just lying on your back. You're also very welcome to find another position that feels comfortable for you, on your side, on your belly, or seated. With your eyes still closed, if that feels okay. In your mind's eye, see a seed underground. Small, whole, full of potential. It doesn't force itself upward. It listens to the soil. It waits for warmth, for water, for its right season. Trust that your life is doing the same. Trust that your healing is unfolding even when you can't see it yet. And that your most fabulous growth will occur through compassion and curiosity and tenderness, not through force. I invite you to repeat after me, whispering to yourself in your mind or out loud, I am not late for my life. I am right on time for my becoming. And you can stay here for as long as you like, or if you're feeling ready, you can slowly make your way up to a seat. Maybe meet me with one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly, and just take a deep inhale with me. A lovely long exhale. And thank yourself so much for showing up for you today and for getting to share this beautiful space together with all these other wonderful people. I really wish you well and sending you so much love from my heart to yours.